A lion stood frozen. A gorilla reached out. And in the jungle's breathless stillness, something unforgettable happened. What do you think the wild remembers? Instinct or love? Comment below with your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. In the open corridors of the Sanjata Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, where sunlight streamed through gauze nets and the scent of eucalyptus hung in the air, Amanda Williams crouched beside two of her most delicate rescues. The lioness, Nia, had arrived with a shattered shoulder and defiant eyes. The orphaned baby gorilla, Jabari, had clung to no one, swaddled in grief since losing his mother to snares. But Amanda, in her early 20s then, possessed a kind of patience few understood, a voice like softened clay and hands that never hurried. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and through trial, trust, and tenderness, the bond between woman, lioness, and infant ape deepened. Nia would lie beside Amanda during therapy. Jabari learned to cling to her like a surrogate mother. They grew stronger, wild, still, but grounded by something gentler. Eventually, the day came when they were released into a protected forest reserve where they might know freedom. Amanda whispered a final farewell at the gate, one trembling hand pressed to Nia's mane, the other resting on Jabari's tiny shoulder. In the eyes of the wild, she had once said, our kindness may leave a mark far deeper than we'll ever know. She never expected to see them again. 10 years later, Amanda stepped out of the conservation vehicle and into the familiar embrace of the Sanjata forest. Older now, her hair kissed with streaks of gold, but her eyes still holding the same glint of wonder. The forest greeted her like an old friend. Hornbills flitted above the canopy. Dappled sunlight danced on the earth. Her mission was scientific, to document interspecies behavior a decade into the region's rewilding program. But her return was undeniably personal. She walked alone, as she preferred, with a field journal, a camera, and a rucksack of dried mangoes. Local rangers spoke of strange sightings. They moved together, one had said, sipping tea, a lioness and a gorilla. Not hostile, not shy, as if companions. Amanda had smiled, amused but curious. Nia and Jabari would be fully grown now, if they still live at all. Yet the stories stirred something in her. In this place where she had once whispered farewells, might echoes of that bond remain? She pressed deeper into the green heart of Sanjata, drawn not just by science, but by the echoes of memory. The forest narrowed into a patchwork of light and shadow. Amanda, chasing the silhouette of a hornbill, slipped from the marked trail and into thicker brush. Signs of large primates were nearby, broken branches, fecal clusters, a sleeping nest high above. She raised her camera, hopeful, then a low growl. Instinct froze her breath. From the thickets behind her, rustling leaves burst into snapping twigs. A leopard, thin and scarred, its ribs sharp under patchy fur, stepped into view. Amanda backed away slowly, heart pounding. It snarled, desperate, starving, rogue. She turned and ran. Branches clawed her arms. Her boots slid over damp roots. She sprinted blind, crashing through shrubs until the earth betrayed her. A mess of trailing vines curled around her ankle. She fell hard, face in the soil, and tried to crawl, but the vines gripped tighter. She thrashed, breath shallow, every muscle strained in panic. The leopard was close now. She could hear it, low growls and footfall in the leaf litter. Please, she whispered, dragging herself inch by inch. Alone, trembling, tangled. The predator's shadow stretched closer in the sun. Hope was slipping like sand through her fingers. Then a roar. Not the sharp yowl of a leopard, but a thunderous, primal sound that shook the underbrush. The leopard hissed, startled. A golden blur lunged from the foliage. A lioness, muscular and furious, knocking the predator sideways. Claws flashed. Teeth snapped. The leopard fled, crashing through the forest in defeat. Amanda gasped, her mind struggling to grasp what her eyes had just witnessed. The lioness turned, standing tall over Amanda, not threatening but protective. Moments later, a rustling above. Leaves parted, and a towering silverback gorilla stepped into the clearing, descending with deliberate calm. He grunted softly, then approached Amanda. She shrank, unsure, but his gaze was not wild. It was gentle. He knelt beside her and examined her leg. With deft fingers, the gorilla began pulling away the vines, gently untangling her limb, one twist at a time. He never broke eye contact. The lioness circled, her body between Amanda and the trail where danger had come, and it struck her. These weren't just wild creatures. The lioness bore the same pale forehead Mark Neo once had, and the gorilla's eyes, intelligent, searching, reminded her of Jabari. Not them, but their kin, offspring, legacy. Somehow, impossibly, they remembered. Amanda sat beneath a tamarind tree, her leg bruised but free, her heart still racing. The lioness lay a few feet away, ears alert but calm. The gorilla, larger now than Jabari ever was, perched nearby, chewing on fig leaves. She observed them, tears welling. The gorilla studied her like an old friend, cautious but recognizing something. Not Amanda herself, perhaps, but the rhythm of her movements, the tone of her breath, the scent of her presence. The lioness, too, sat not like a wild cat, but like a sentry. Could animals pass memory? Not through language, but through posture, behavior, familiarity of scent and place? In the wild, Amanda whispered, memory flows not through speech, but through gesture, scent, and silence. She thought of Nia and Jabari, and how they must have raised their young in this same forest, how they must have crossed this same clearing, how they might have paused here, once, beside a young human who whispered kindness into the wind. And now, their children walked in that memory. Amanda limped down the forest trail, flanked on either side by the lioness and the gorilla. The sun, high in the African sky, pierced through the canopy in radiant shafts, casting golden patterns on the forest floor. Dust rose softly with each step, dancing in the light. Her shadow merged with theirs, three beings from different worlds, bound by something ancient and unspoken. At the edge of the base camp, a young ranger dropped his binoculars. "They've been seen," he murmured, stunned. "But never like this. Never walking with anyone." Amanda said nothing. Her breath caught in her chest, emotion rising like a tide. Every step she took seemed to echo with a memory. Not just hers, but something deeper, older. The lioness halted first, her eyes sharp, ears twitching at distant sounds. The gorilla straightened to full height, nostrils flaring, a low rumble in his throat, not of warning, but of recognition. Amanda stepped closer and knelt between them. Her hand rose slowly and rested on the gorilla's chest. "I remember," she whispered, "and now I know you do too." The gorilla's eyes held hers. The lioness gave a final glance. Then, as if moved by a shared ancestral memory, they turned and vanished into the Emerald Vale. They remembered what their mothers remembered, and what she, for too long, had tried to forget. Later, in the hush of her canvas tent, Amanda wrote, not just the dry observations of a field report or the data points of biologists, but something far more human, memory. Memory sculpted by fur and breath, by the flash of a golden eye, and the thunder of a protective roar. Her pen moved slowly, reverently, as if each word carried the weight of a decade. Outside, the forest sang, cicadas hummed in rhythmic chorus, and the wind moved through the trees like a whisper in conversation. Shafts of sun reached through the open flaps of the tent, casting long, dappled patterns across her journal. She wrote of Nia, the fierce lioness, of Jabari, the curious infant gorilla, of the 10 silent years that separated care from consequence, and of the 2 creatures who had stepped from the tapestry of her past to shield her from the teeth of the wild, not as strangers, but as echoes of a bond long sown. The wild world, she wrote softly, remembers what humans often forget. In the hush of trees, in the flick of a tail, promises are kept, wordlessly, instinctively, but never without meaning. She stepped outside, eyes lifting toward the canopy. Somewhere in the green hush, the next chapter of memory was already stirring. Amanda whispered her thanks, not for being saved, but for being remembered. Green circle if this story touched you. Consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, and sharing Amanda's journey, because the wild never forgets, and neither should we.